If Jaden Ivey does not claim the starting shooting guard role for the Detroit Pistons this training camp, not even this season, this training camp, I fully expect the Detroit Pistons to shift into how do we fill this position for the long term. And I want to dive into that in this video. But before I do, this video is brought to you by Bridges and Stone's Family and Relationship Care. If someone you know and care for is struggling with their mental health or relationship, go to bridgesandstones.com and contact them for your free consultation today. One brave act today can create a better tomorrow. Remember, none of us make it alone. The link is in the description box below. You know, I've said this many times, and if you track the videos, you will notice this. That I think Jaden Ivey is going to have a great year. I think he's going to solidify that justification for his draft pick selection, that the Detroit Pistons invested in him, believe in him, and that last season was kind of a fluke. And I think he's going to go into this season. He's going to have a defined role. JB Bickerstaff will be a better coach for him and Cade Cunningham, finding continuity and schemes, creating the shot package that he developed a little bit last season, but going into this season with more confidence. I think he'll know his reads, his role, and he's going to have a far more efficiently shooting season, and he's going to look great. I think he's going to be somewhere around 22 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, and I think he's going to show the ability to be a point of attack defender, which is going to be a really big plus for this team. I think he'll get his extension and all that stuff, right? It won't be a max, but it'll be a really good extension, probably somewhere around like between 28 and 33 million a year. That's what I'm thinking. That's my outlook. Very optimistic for Jaden Ivey. But if he cannot do that, and this Detroit Pistons team is forced to start either Tim Hardaway Jr. or Malik Beasley for an extended period of time in the first half of this season, I fully expect the Detroit Pistons to shift away from all three. All three. I'll say that again. All three they will shift away from. And they will go out and find their shooting guard for their future. And I want to throw out a few options. The first option is via trade. There are a few shooting guards who are out there who have shown the ability to play at a high level, who have the ability to be potentially extremely effective, and I think are due for significant raises or a significant boost in their role. And I think the Pistons would target them if Jaden Ivey is not able to claim that position. The first one is Anthony Simons. For those of you who follow the Portland Trail Blazers, you understand that they have another guy behind him by the name of Shaedon Sharpe, the Canadian brother with the locks, kind of the big afro lock type look. Kind of has the Bob Marley thing going on. Looks good on him. And it looks absolutely fantastic when he's flying through the air like Vince Carter and dunking on everybody. He has that Anthony Edwards level explosiveness and athleticism and physicality. I think he's going to be a tremendous talent and player for the Portland Trail Blazers. And you know who that squeezes out? Is Anthony Simons, who's shown the ability to be a 20-plus points per game scorer, a volume three-point shooter on really good efficiency. He was actually the most efficient volume shooter in the NBA last season. He's extremely athletic and young. And I think that he could be a fantastic partner next to Cade Cunningham. I don't think it would help them out defensively at all. At all. But offensively, that could be some butter back there. That could be a match made in heaven. That could be, that light-skinned magic back there. That could be the next, shooting duo, Curry and Clay, right? Light-skinned magic, Splash Brothers. I think they're going to shoot a whole lot of threes if they were together. And it could be exciting. I don't know how much they would win because neither of them defends at a high level. But I think they could definitely improve the offense tremendously. The other cat I was thinking about was Jaden Hardy for the Dallas Mavericks. Jaden Hardy is a tremendous offensive talent. If you saw last season, he basically played his way into big-time minutes for them down the stretch. He pushed aside Tim Hardaway Jr., who is currently on the Detroit Pistons, completely outplayed him and relegated him to a third-string bench role, even when he was completely healthy. He also forced Josh Green to be expendable last season. He pushed him to the side because Jaden Hardy offered far more playmaking, even some facilitating abilities, and was able to create a shot and make shots at a higher clip. He is a tremendous offensive talent, and if you followed him out of his high school career, where he was a top recruit and was able to go to the G League and play at a high level, he is a top level scorer. Jaden Hardy is somebody who is due for an explosion when he gets the minutes. When he gets those minutes. If Quentin Grimes is not starting, I wouldn't be shocked to see Jaden Hardy starting. Though I think Jaden Hardy may be a bit more of a off the bench primary scorer, six-man type. But at his size, his shooting ability, wouldn't be shocked if somebody gives him a chance, gives him a contract that says, come and start for us. And he could be a 20-plus points per game scorer. Now, the other player I saw that they could get out, that the Detroit Pistons can target and possibly try to get out of a trade or out of free agency is Luguentz Dort from Oklahoma City. Look, I know they love him down there. I love him too. But as you see that roster becoming more and more expensive with SGA, with Jalen Williams, with Chet Holmgren, over the next couple of years, they may not be able to afford to retain him. They still have a guy by the name of Cason Wallace off the bench, who is a fantastic pickup for them. They've got Isaiah Joe and Aaron Wiggins. They also have Alex Caruso. They have a lot of guys who can play his role, right, and do enough of what he does without having to overpay for who he is for you, which would mean that another team who's willing to pay him more for a greater role with them could very well do so. And the Detroit Pistons need a point of attack defender who can be locked down, who can knock down open threes at a high clip, and he could be fantastic next to Cade Cunningham. But if those guys aren't targeted, there are also a couple of solutions on this team. A couple things that we can see this team do is shift the roster around. Somebody brought up the potential to slide Ausar Thompson to the shooting guard position and Simone Fontecchio to that small forward position. I can completely see that as well. Ausar can defend really 1 through 4 and even some small ball centers, right? The Draymond Green types. He has that level of physicality, athleticism, quickness, anticipation, dedication, low center of gravity, lateral movement, quick hands. He could defend everyone, and he could be a tremendous point of attack defender. I don't think there is another example out there except for Amen Thompson, his twin brother, who's able to defend at such a high level. Now, of course, that means you're going to need to insulate them with more shooting. Now, I love Tobias Harris as a shooter. I think Cade Cunningham is going to take a big jump as a shooter. And I think Simone Fontecchio could also fill in there as well. Another player that I could see sliding into that starting lineup outside of Fontecchio is Marcus Sasser. Check the video I did a long time ago, early last season. And I said Marcus Sasser could become the running mate for Cade Cunningham because he might be more of what they're needing next to him while not costing as much as Jaden Ivey would. And I pointed out, and I'll put that video in the description box of this video, pointed out that Marcus Sasser has the ability to be a high-level shot creator, shot maker, and facilitator, while also being able to be a point-of-attack defender. He's a little bit smaller, but I think if he's relegated to only guarding other point guards, right, other smaller off guards, that it can work. And if you slide Cade Cunningham to guarding more 2s and 3s, and Ausar Thompson guarding the better of the 2 or 3 wing player, I think it can work. I think Marcus Sasser has the ability to play off of Cade. He does a great job moving off the ball. As a knockdown three-point shooter, his shot is absolutely wet. I mean, if you watched him coming out of University of Houston, right, he stayed longer, so he's more seasoned, but he's still young, right? And he has the ability to just knock down shots. He has a very clean, precise game. You see him and you trust him with the ball. You look at a player who knows his game, knows his skill set, and he's not able to get necessarily sped up or forced to play a game outside of who he is. And I think that exhibits a lot of trust in himself, and it also builds a lot of trust in you as a fan and as a coach and as a team around Marcus Sasser. I also think you could potentially see, depending upon how Ron Holland develops, over the next couple of seasons. By the end of this year, if Ron Holland is knocking down threes at a close to NBA average rate, where we can see him, because remember, Ron Holland is not known as a good three-point shooter. He is known as a really good mid-range shooter, 16 to 18 feet. If he's knocking down that shot with regularity and knocking down, let's say, his threes, where the form looks great, even if it's below league average. Remember, most rookies do not shoot league average. What you're looking for is the form and some level of consistency and growth as the season goes on. And if Ron Holland shows those things, I think they can see him as a long-term solution at shooting guard next to Cade Cunningham, especially if Ausar Thompson takes a step forward. Now, if none of those solutions are on the team or via trade and free agency, I could also see this team looking to the draft. The guy that I like a whole lot, and I've mentioned him before, is VJ Edgecombe out of the University of Baylor. Or Baylor University. I think it's University of Baylor, right? From Texas. VJ Edgecombe. If you watched him in the Olympic qualifiers for the Bahamian national team that boasted NBA stars and players such as DeAndre Ayton, Eric Gordon, and my man, what's his name with the teeth? Shucks, I always forget his name. Buddy Hield. Buddy Love. Buddy Hield, the volume three-point shooter. What was incredible to see was VJ Edgecombe was actually their leading scorer out of high school. Hadn't played a game at the University of Baylor yet. Was their leading scorer. He showed an incredible ability to play off the ball, getting out in transition, and ability to knock down open threes. His shot package was very defined. He didn't try to do too much, stayed within himself, but he was a high-level lockdown wing defender who can also knock down threes. Think about, I forget his name, for the, I think he's on the Toronto Raptors right now, if I pull it up really quick. He was coming out of the University of Kansas. His name was, pulling it up right now, Ochai Agbaji. He reminds me a lot of him. Ochai Agbaji was a player who played shooting guard for the University of Kansas, but stayed, I believe, until his senior year. Had a great senior year. They went to a deep run in the NCAA tournament. I'm not sure if they won it all or not, but it's to say that he had a great run and was drafted really high, and they expected him to come in and be a high-level shooting guard, 3-and-D player, much like Luguentz Dort. Now, the shot hasn't necessarily come around in the same way as Dort has, but it generally takes time. VJ Edgecombe has the ability to come in and be that level of player, that high-level volume, almost three-point shooter. I see him taking 6 or more threes a game, getting out in transition, attacking straight-line drives and closeouts, and then being an absolute lockdown terror on defense. Right, so there are some solutions in the draft as well. But I completely 100% do not view Tim Hardaway Jr. or Malik Beasley as even short or long-term solutions at shooting guard. In fact, because of the outlook of this season, remember, I have them potentially winning only about between 32 and 35 games this season. And that's going to be a very successful year, more than doubling up the win total from last season. And I think that would be a tremendous jump for them to get to over 30 wins, but 32 to 35 is where I have them. That is their outlook, meaning that neither Malik Beasley or Tim Hardaway Jr. is a part of this team's future because both are in their primes right now. They need to be someplace playing with veteran teams, playing for championships. Now, I don't think anybody sees either of those players as starters for those types of teams, which is apparent. I've communicated that before. But they do see them as valuable role players, guys who can come in off the bench and knock down shots and spread out the defense. And so all that's to say is those are the options that I see. But as always, I want to know what you all think. If you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. Definitely share this video in your group chats. Get at me in the comment section, and I'm going to get at y'all there. I'm going to holler at y'all next time. Peace.